Sexy People Podcast. I'm here with Jax Thirio. I'm your host, Dan Frigolette. Thank you for joining me.
Hey, it's great to be here.
We had some tech issues here. I was saying prior to this that I want to be sensitive to all the people. There's the YouTube people listening and watching, and there are the people listening at home, hopefully in their cars and being safe and all the things. But I want to, for the YouTube people, let them know that this is a thing that they can access. But also, I want to ask you about where you are. You're in this beautiful location. You have a koi fish about to attack you over your shoulder. You have this beautiful plant. Where are you and what's going on?
So I'm a collared pup, and so I'm with my daddies who've collared me. I'm in their home here in West Hollywood.
Yes. So,
So I'm sitting in just the dining room area.
so explain this. Explain this relationship to me. Is this a do you consider yourself a sugar baby? Is that the correct
Oh
terminology?
no, not at all. That is kind of what that relationship looks like to a lot of people, but it's in no way a financial or a transactional type of relationship.
Got it. This is
These
this is
these are two guys that are a little bit older, that have been around, and for me, I'm kind of a gaby. I haven't been out very long, um,
Gaby
and so
means a
that
newbie, a newbie to the gay scene. Is that what that means?
yeah. Believe it or not, although like there's a learning curve, I'm definitely learning quickly. But so they've kind of been. We met filming, and we had a really great connection, and over the next months we kind of developed a relationship, and they're like mentors, they're friends, and they've become my chosen family. The collar, what that really means to us is more about belonging and about family. um, I'm not a locked boy or anything like that, and it's 100% not a sugar daddy.
Thank you for indulging my my maybe misguided question.
No, not misguided at all. I'm actually kind of glad you asked, because it's a very common, like, people aren't sure, and
Yeah,
this can mean a lot of different things, and so if you don't ask, you won't really know,
yeah.
probably.
So when you leave, you take that off.
No,
This is forever.
um,
This is
I wear it all the time.
yeah.
I do have a couple of different collars that I can wear and wear my tag with if I want to. I don't have to always wear this, but
Yeah.
it's kind of a I don't know. I love wearing it. One, I get people ask about it a lot, or like it a lot, I guess. And it's kind of a security thing. It's a reminder thing. I don't know. It feels good to wear it.
And for the listeners, it's like it's you're literally wearing like a medium gauge chain, like metal chain, and
Yeah.
then what is either a locket on the bottom? Yep.
Yeah. So, and it's got a master lock padlock, and
And then a
then a
pendant.
dog tag. And if
Oh,
you
it's a
look,
dog
the
tag.
dog tag, the symbol on it is the Spartan symbol, or
And
it
why
says
is that?
Spartan on the back. Spartan is my pup name.
Oh wow, very cool.
So into the whole pup play kind of thing, and so
And what
when I
is it?
said I'm a collared pup, that kind of goes into that side of things.
And explain pup play for anybody who's never heard that term.
So pup play, wow, that's a really difficult one to explain, but it's different for everyone that gets into it. But if you've ever seen pictures of guys wearing the mask, that kind of has like the pup face, that is part of the pup play world.
So
So it's kind of a cosplay, role play, sexual relationship, but it also has a lot of non-sexual things. And the relationship, for a pup, and in my case, a pup and his handler, that relationship could look very different for any other pup and their handler. It's kind of what you make of it.
and
But
and
it does
and
involve kind of taking on like puppy characteristics, wearing the mask. They have tails, paws, all kinds of fun stuff like that. I might be on a leash as a pup. There's all kinds of fun things that can go with this.
and is this a thing that was imparted on you, or this is a thing that you sought out?
So right from the first time I ever saw the pup thing, I was intrigued. I thought it was kind of hot, but didn't really know anything about it. After I broke into porn, I started modeling for Cell Block 13 and Timoteo, which is a gay underwear and fetish gear kind of brand. And so just last year at Leather Pride, or maybe a little before, but we modeled a bunch of stuff as a pup. So it was the first time I had put the hood on and put the tail in and like got into that mindset for a day to do this shoot. And I don't know, I really liked it. There was
Can you
something that really turned me on about it that felt very natural about it that I wanted to explore a lot more of. And so it kind of, yeah, it kind of started there.
explain that emotion, explain that feeling? What is it? Um, what
Mhm.
makes you feel sexy and sexual as the pup?
Um, it's not even that. It's more just like the whole puppy energy. There's something very like cute and playful about it. There's a lot of kind of nonverbal communication that can be kind of fun. So usually if I'm in pup mode, I won't speak. So, you know, communicating, you have to communicate the way that you would actually communicate with a dog that can't speak. So a lot of body language, a lot of, you know, different playful gesturing. Maybe they might say a growl or a certain kind of bark that might mean this or that. And it's just again, it's just a very playful thing. It's not like an all the time thing. Some people can take this to an extreme, and they have the whole like kennel and for some people, it could be, you know, a humiliation can be part of it, but that's pretty rare for pup play. It's very rare that it's taken to like a master slave kind of relationship. That's a whole different thing.
That's funny because as a dog owner, like that literally speaks to like how we treat dogs now as well. Because like we do not treat dogs as like subservient creatures like live outside anymore. They're literally like sleeping in bed with us and they're like our best friend. And they may or may not think that they are our spouses. So that so
That's
it's
exactly what it's like.
you're
And
right.
you know, as the handler or the dog owner, you have certain responsibility to kind of protect and take care of it. And at the same time, as the pup, you know, they serve us in one way or another, whether it be emotionally or whatever type of dog it is or what that relationship looks like, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Well, you explained that beautifully. I wanted to ask then, is the power dynamics one of the main attractions to it for you?
So that's also kind of interesting. I would be considered switch.
Yeah.
So switch is if you are alpha or dom in some relationships and beta or sub in others. So with my handlers, I would be more submissive.
Right.
But in most of my life and most of my other relationships interactions, whether it's in the pup world or not, I'm typically more alpha.
Yeah. Oh,
But yes, there is an element of giving up control, especially to somebody that I trust, and kind of letting them take over. That is attractive, and that is part of that being submissive to someone else.
yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that stuff. I think because I think it is interesting because a lot of people, I think either accidentally or on purpose sort of fall into one role in their lives and in their relationships and then in sex, and then maybe they just carry that for the rest of their lives, and maybe they never get to play with other aspects, power dynamics and otherwise. And so, you know, being able to be open and have those discussions now and be open to more opportunities, I think is a good thing for people, because sometimes you don't know uh a thing that you've never experienced whether or not you'd be into it.
Yeah, 100%. And that's, you know, the whole pup Spartan journey for me. It's kind of what it's been about because, like I said, I was closeted and married, and came out very late in life.
Yeah, and so you said that to me off cast. So let's just let's take that beat for a second. So
Yeah.
you got married. Um, you were living as a straight person who knew that that this was not a fulfilling relationship for you, right? Sexually.
So yeah, I'll try to give it to you in a nutshell.
Yeah.
I was raised in a very conservative, religious alt-right kind of family in the Midwest. My
And they're
dad
still?
was a preacher, is a
Oh,
preacher.
wow.
Um, so at a young age, when I was kind of exploring my sexuality and figuring all that out, I got caught with another boy. And that
How
kind of
old?
turned into probably 14.
And you're doing, what are you doing?
What were we doing? We got caught.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were sucking each other's dicks
Full
and we
on.
got caught. Yeah.
Yeah. You
Um,
got caught in full 69?
yep, absolutely.
What site? Well, I
So
want to know. Wait, I want
we
to
were
know. Was
at
it?
the I can't believe I'm telling the story, but we were at like a state park up in Michigan, on the beach. Like there's big sandy beaches and then dunes and woods kind of. And we were off one of these trails up in the sand dunes, and yeah, some people walked up and saw what they saw, and then later that night they found what campsite we were at and made sure they talked to his parents, and then of course my parents.
Oh.
And it
Wow,
turned
hang on.
out.
This is wild. Like, so like, and this is one of the things that is like important to me in this podcast. It's like it's two people not hurting anybody. Like, it's like, okay, I got caught by my family, but like you got caught by strangers, and then they felt compelled to go tell other strangers of a thing that's not bothering them, that like they have a belief that's like that they have to like that's insane.
Yeah, I've never even thought through that part of it a whole lot, I don't think.
It's like I was doing a
But
show
yeah,
in I was doing a show in Florida, and it was all old people. So I assumed in my head that old people would be pro marijuana because it's like a drug that they smoke to be relaxed in the eyes and the things in Florida. And this one lady started talking about how she doesn't do it and she doesn't like it. So blah blah blah. And I was like, yeah. So shut up. It's not your conversation. If you don't smoke, it's not your conversation. If you're not into a particular type of thing, that's not your conversation. Don't talk. Don't seek it out. Like you and your I don't know what you guys called each other, but you and this boy were living your own lives, not affecting these people, and they like had to go this extra route.
well, and that's the thing about the boy. He was my best friend. Our families were very close. They were a part of my dad's church. His dad was a deacon. His mother was the piano player. We'd gone to the same Christian school. Both of our dads were teachers and coaches there. From the time I was like 7 or 6 until this happened. And I saw him once, maybe a week after this happened at church, and then never again.
Never again. Where's he? What happened to him?
They moved. They up and left.
That's crazy. This is
Um,
like a movie.
yeah.
You guys get caught doing your thing, and then they take him away forever.
Yeah, had things with my family were pretty rough. My dad was my dad beat my ass pretty good. Which
I mean, it's horrible. And I'm sorry that you went through that. Let's like go. I don't know how to. Let's go back there for a second and like, what is the as a woke understanding individual, what in your head is like the understanding of a dad to like put his hands on his son after this experience? Like, what's going through his head that he thinks something that he's going to do physically is going to like change who you are, and then how does that make you feel and
well,
carry you through the rest of
I
your life?
haven't ever reconciled this with my parents.
Right.
At this point, haven't even really come out to them, although I can't imagine they don't know. But I know, like, from his biblical perspective, it's a choice. It's not who you are.
Right.
It's, in his words, that was choosing to be in rebellion against God, and
Right.
knowing who my father was and what he did. Like, it's also rebellion against him, and he went on about how that made him look. So he put it all on me, and it being a choice to do something I knew was wrong.
And
And that was the justification for, I guess, the punishment. We grew up getting spanked. That was pretty normal.
but this one was personal.
But this was, yeah, it
This
was a little
beating,
different.
this was a specific beating.
Yeah. Yeah, so that pushed me really deep into the closet.
So
And I kind of tried to, I tried to be a good kid. I tried to believe what I was taught and how I was raised and be a good person. So I fought that internal battle for a long time, feeling like there was something wrong with me or.
yeah, what is this? And I think this is important because as a straight person, nobody ever asks me at any point in my childhood or otherwise in my life, like why I'm attracted to who I'm attracted to. And like, we're trying to tell people that are attracted that don't, fit in the cis binary. Like, we have to like ask them. And that's like a weird thing. So you have to ask yourself, and it's like, I don't know why I'm attracted to this person. It's like, it's all of it is natural. Right. So what is the internal struggle? How does that play out? And then, like, I guess, how do you like quiet that knowledge about yourself?
Well, I don't know if I ever did a great job of quieting that, but for me, the way this played out, um, I probably pushed in my personality and who I pretended to be or tried to be a little further in the other direction than I really would have. So
You were like
super
crazy
butch.
frat boy, alpha male.
Yeah, very alpha, jock, sports and whatever. Right after high school, played soccer for a summer in Europe and then into college. Ended up getting kicked out of college quickly, right
What?
after soccer. But
Why'd you get kicked out of college?
it was a small college, and I got caught with some weed, and that's a whole nother story. But it's really not that
Your
interesting.
whole life is like getting caught doing
God.
things that nobody cares. Not nobody cares, but like that have become accepted. Like, it's like now you got kicked out of college for weed, and now it's federally fine.
Yeah, yeah, and that was okay because I didn't want to stay at that school again, and that was a very conservative Christian school. I was still kind of trying to live the life I was being told I was supposed to live, I guess.
Yeah.
But the season ended and I got kicked out shortly after and was maybe even relieved. I didn't really care other than uh, the loss of money.
Yeah.
But that was, the fall of 2001 and September 11th happened. And so by a year from that day, I was swearing into the military and off to basic training for the Army.
Wow.
Did 4 years in the reserve. I didn't really do much in the military besides a lot of training. And then got out again, and shortly after that, ended up in Nashville.
But let's hold there for a second. But thank you for your bravery. Um, I did the opposite. I stayed as far away from that opportunity. So for you to take that on is a very brave and admirable thing.
Well, you're welcome. And yeah, I was a very all-American kind of kid, very idealistic. I had a lot more faith in our country and our government in certain aspects then than I do now. A little more experience and a little more.
Well, we are in a particularly gray area for having faith in anything, and that's an interesting world that we live in right now.
Yeah.
Let's pause there because I do want to ask you, because you have your experience with your best friend. This is your best friend when he's 14.
Yeah, yeah. He
So
definitely
from
was.
7 to 14, and like, you didn't go away to the dunes to do this, right? This is just a thing.
Yeah, no, we were just there for a couple nights camping out with the family, with his family this time. But yeah,
Just
running
stuff
around the
happened.
beach during the day, just doing the same kind of things we always did in the summer as kids.
Yeah.
It wasn't about that at all. But that was something that happened.
Just beautiful. Just this beautiful thing escalated, and here you are.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I mean, it's 14. That's about the age you start to figure those things out, right?
I don't know. Nobody sucked my dick when I was 14. I didn't have those kinds of skills. No, I lived a much different later life. So I don't have that. I don't have that experience. I love that. I love that story. Is So from 14 until just even cutting to this point until Nashville, I mean, you're living this straight alpha life. You're doing all these things, but along the way, you know who you are. Are you still having um the not random, but the atypical sort of like one-off, like male experiences that are sort of like so deep and closeted, or are you just completely
So
remove that part of your sexuality for that period of time?
for me, it was a couple things. I was very promiscuous, but always like a one night stand with women.
Yeah.
Um,
Why
did
do you
not have experiences like that with guys. I remember wishing that a guy would come on to me, but knowing I was way too like closeted or shy to try and actually like initiate something like that. And
for
the other,
fear that you would be like found out?
yeah, I guess so. And then at the same time, I definitely always knew what I wanted, and for me, it manifested in this like guilt and shame that I had some sort of porn addiction, because I still watched most of the time it was gay porn,
Yeah.
and if I did watch something that was straight porn, I typically found out I like realized after whatever video I would end up on that it was all about the guy. It had
Yeah,
nothing.
there's Dixon straight porn. That's fantastic, right?
So, but yeah, but so for me that was like this like secret shame too, like
Of
you know,
course.
um, but
Um,
that's
so from 14 to Nashville, you're in all of these boys organizations, and you don't hook up with anybody. You don't hook up with a boy from 14 through Nashville that whole time.
yeah, yeah.
You're white knuckling cold turkey. Your sexual I mean, other than the porn.
Right.
So you get to Nashville, you're out of the military.
So I never intended to stay in Nashville long, but when I got out of the military, it was the end of '06, and it was right before the recession. But the recession hit up in Michigan a little bit earlier than other places.
The housing thing.
Um, yeah, just the economy in general, work, construction had basically ground to a halt, and I didn't have a lot of skills at that point.
Yeah.
Didn't have
Were
a
you
degree, and what I did in the military wasn't going to transfer to work at that point where I was.
So what were you doing? You were doing construction?
But yeah, I had done construction a little bit and had, that was a place to start, but the work was just drying up quickly. So I had an older brother that was in Nashville, chasing his own career. He's a musician. And there was a lot of work opportunity. And so I moved down there and stayed with him, found a place, got a couple jobs, and I was saving money because I thought I was going to move out west. Um, and within I don't know 6 months or so, uh, getting close to being able to move out west, my this girl moves in across the hall. This She was a stripper, um, and at first we were just kind of friends and fuck buddies, and then my lease ended, and my relationship with that roommate ended poorly. And I was about to move out west, and that kind of fell apart. I was going to move with a cousin. He backed out. I didn't really know anyone out there. Didn't really have as much money saved as I felt like I needed. And she offered me a place to stay while I figured it out for a few weeks. And a few weeks turned into a few months, and I hit a point where I kind of decided like I either have to try to make this work and just commit, or I need to get the fuck out. And I decided to try and make it work, and we ended up getting engaged and then pregnant and married.
How fast?
From the time I met her, it was a year till we got engaged, and then we got married. I don't know, a few months after that.
Fast. It's fast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, happened quick, too quick, probably.
What did by out west you mean California, or where did you have your heart set on?
This was in Nashville, Tennessee.
No, but you said I wanted to
Oh,
move
out west.
west.
So honestly, Vegas at that point.
What did Vegas represent for you that seemed like an opportunity? Why was that something you wanted?
I had gotten really into Texas Hold'em. That was right when the big
No shit.
no limit Hold'em phase
I remember.
really
Yeah.
hit.
Everybody,
And
overnight, everybody was a Texas Hold'em champ.
well, and I had started playing. at this track. There's a horse track in my hometown, and they had started these poker games up there.
Right, because it didn't like fit with any of the gambling laws that were already existing. You could
Well,
just play.
a couple of guys actually found like a loophole how they could get temporary gambling licenses for all kinds of different
Right.
charities, and a percentage would go to the charity, and they could keep the rest. And they were making
Right.
a killing. I mean, it was a
Right.
racket.
Because
Um,
gambling, for people that don't maybe know, it's separated into different chunks, and so one of the chunks is like horse racing or dog racing, which is mostly going away, and then table games is like the most extreme one, like all the Vegas stuff, and then there is another one where you can do things like poker. I don't really know how that aspect of it works, but poker, because it's not necessarily um like casino sponsored, because they're not putting any money into it. It's like this whole other, like you said, it's like a loophole.
yeah.
So now
And
you're a
they played
poker
it for
head.
quite a while. So, well, I started playing a lot, and I wasn't really making any money. So I ended up becoming a dealer, and I dealt up there for, I don't know, 6 months maybe. I'm watching thousands and thousands of hands as the dealer.
Oh, a dealer. Oh, a dealer for, sorry,
Oh
a
yeah,
casino
sorry.
dealer.
With the yeah, absolutely. So I had some skills as a dealer, and I had improved greatly as a poker player, and started winning some tournaments up there and making a lot of money on the side as a poker player.
Just watching a shitload of
Um,
poker.
and I was also, I was still young. I didn't have any real responsibility at that point in life, and so I was all about chasing that dream of making it as a pro poker player.
Yeah.
But like I said, when my plans with the cousin backed out, and I ended up moving in with her, and then it derailed that
What's
course.
funny is you're living at this point you're living some straight Midwesterner's dream. You're like alpha male marrying a stripper. Like that's some people's dream. Like people go to the strip club and like dream about marrying the stripper. It's just not your dream.
Yeah,
You literally
I've
achieved
never
someone's
thought about
dream.
it that way, but absolutely, like,
You achieved someone's dream. God damn it. You're so good. You do all these big things accidentally. So now
yeah.
you're married, and you're how old?
I got married at 25.
You're
Yes,
married at 25.
26.
You're married at
2026.
26, and then you put a baby in this lady. Is that what you told me?
Yeah. So, and we again, we were living together and we were engaged, but with our conservative families, there was a lot of pressure that we
Her
weren't.
too.
But we lived together.
So she's conservative too. She's a conservative. She's a raised conservative, and she's a stripper.
Yeah, there was a lot of history and damage there with her family, but they were kind of starting to heal that, or reestablish a relationship at that point.
Okay. So she's on her own. You're on your own from family stuff. And was that a point of like camaraderie in your relationship?
Honestly, I didn't know about a lot of that early on, but
Yeah.
she had left home when she was like 16.
Yeah.
I knew she had issues with like her dad, but that's she's a
The
stripper.
question I want to ask is, because even still, so now, but you're like gravitating towards more conservative minded people, but you're also gravitating towards sex positive people. So even though you're not like pursuing the relationship that maybe you would physically want, you're still sort of like, you're like taking like a baby step in a way by dating and marrying somebody who's obviously super sex positive. They're a stripper.
I think I was always fighting that battle of what I really wanted, but what I had been taught to believe was wrong. So I
Right.
thought that I'm fighting these like temptations or carnal urges that are wrong, but
Yeah. And
they're always there.
yeah. And they grow, right? Don't they grow in the secrecy? Don't they grow in the dark?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
So you're married, you're trying for a baby. You think you have a porn addiction. How much of your life, how much of your sex life is alone looking at porn at this point in time?
Hmm. Um, it was definitely a daily thing, but also was sex with her at the time.
Yeah.
So
And
I
that
had
was
a
a thing.
pretty
That was a
high libido, and it was like I wanted it more times in a day than I was gonna get it from her. So I filled the rest of those in with gay porn.
I've been there. I mean,
But also, I got to a point with our sex life where it was difficult sometimes to get off. And I would find myself eyes closed thinking about the gay porn I liked rather than what was actually happening at the moment.
and I think people have been there, and I think like I had a full on conversation once with somebody, um, where they were justifying fantasizing about other people while they have sex with their partner, and I it just pained me that that was like that's a conversation that we have to have, and that like it's a reality. Like I want everybody to be attracted to who they're having sex with. That's like a really important thing in my mind for everyone. Um, so how long are you trying before you get pregnant?
Well, that was what that was what I was getting to. Our conservative families pressured us to get married, even
Of
if it
course,
was just at the courthouse before our wedding, because we were living together,
of
living in
course,
sin.
they hate that, right? They hate that.
So we did just to keep them happy. We went to the courthouse. We got married. We decided to just go out that night and have fun downtown, stay in a hotel, and ended up getting pregnant that night.
The boy's fertile.
Yeah,
What are you gonna
yeah.
do? So you're at the
Um,
courthouse.
yeah, we got to the courthouse. We got married, but it caused some drama because by the time we actually had our wedding with all the family and everyone in town, she was a few months pregnant.
Right.
And
Everybody in
so
that
that
life
to
hates
some of
that.
the family, it looked like, we were getting married because we got pregnant. But the truth was, we were engaged and planning that wedding way before we got pregnant. It just happened to happen before the wedding.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, your entire life up to that moment, especially, is like um muddied by other people's opinions.
yeah. I was constantly trying to be who other people were telling me I needed to be, and who I thought
And
I
like
was.
if these people are at the wedding and they're like have a judgment about like whether or not you're pregnant, you know what? Leave my wedding. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah. Um, we just dealt with it. I just
yeah,
dealt with it, I
yeah.
guess.
Now, I don't want to skip around, but um I guess this is what I want to ask. Um how does it happen that um no, sorry, let's keep the timeline forward from there. So you get pregnant, you get married.
Yeah, and we were married 10 years, and I tried really hard to make it work. Mostly, having a family, trying to do it for the kids. And she had a child when I met her, a little baby girl, and so that's part of the story too. Like, part of me was trying to help take care of that little girl.
Yeah, you're raising a family. Yeah.
But so yeah, but she had a lot of issues that came out over the years in all kinds of different ways. A lot of insane drama.
Yeah.
I struggled through construction for a while trying to take care of this family, and then was picking up security gigs on the side, just bouncing at clubs and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And then that turned into a whole nother career.
So here's
With
my
military.
question.
Yeah,
Um and sorry to cut you off.
no, you're good.
But does coming out come as a result of the breakup, or are they not at all touching? Like, does coming out have something to do with why?
Well, it was such a crazy, 10 years together and so many ups and downs and a lot of heartache and misery. But she eventually left me. And when she did, we separated and she filed for divorce. I just knew at that point I wanted to be myself. I knew what I really wanted, and I didn't want to waste any more of my life or my youth or trying to be somebody else or whatever. So I came out shortly after that. But I guess I started seeing guys on the DL for about a year. And
After?
then I came out, and 2 months later did my first porn scene and just dove headfirst into that.
Well, and so what did coming out mean to you, and how did that manifest itself? Because you say you came out, is it more a process of of accepting yourself and like making that statement in your mind and in your heart?
Well, it was a little bit of both. It took, yeah, first I had to accept it. and that took that little bit of time period between finally splitting with her and starting to see guys secretly and like getting to the point where yeah,
What do you
I
mean?
was ready to accept myself, and then once I accepted myself, I didn't really care what anyone else thought.
Yeah.
And so it came out to close friends at first, and then most of my family, just not my parents really.
So what do you mean when you say seeing guys secretly, right? Because like, if I meet a girl and we start talking and we hook up, like I'm not going around town and announcing it, right? So there's like that's secret in a sense, but like you feel this need to like be under wraps and hide. Like, who are you keeping this a secret from mostly?
Um, well, okay. So I was saying I kind of transitioned, started with bouncing, but it turned into full-time private security work. So I had fallen in with a group of guys that were veterans, that were some great guys, but the work we did, so it was very macho, hetero, conservative, right wing kind of group that I was as my friend circle and also my work circle at that point. So to have been through all I'd been through with these guys and come out at gay was like I was terrified. I had no idea how that was going to be received, or
And at this point in time, you're 36, 37 years old. This is how long ago from right now?
So I was 36, and it was January of 2019. Um, yeah, my ex left at the very end of 2017. I was on the DL that whole year, and at the very end of the year, I came out, or the beginning of 2019.
And
So just three and a half years ago, not even.
and what was your experience? What was like your
What?
journey of acceptance from people?
So I was amazed. I had surrounded myself with authentic good people. Um and not I didn't lose really a single friend.
I'm going to ask a weird one. But was anyone surprised?
Yeah. It
They
was
were.
a total mind fuck for a lot
Really?
of people.
Really?
Absolutely. Yeah,
You were
absolutely.
that good at this role?
I mean, I'm a pretty butch guy anyway, but yeah, I guess so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe it's my mindset, maybe it's my upbringing, maybe it's a lot of things, but I feel lucky that anybody who's wanted to include me in their process, um, that it never came as like a shock or like a weird character thing. It just came as sort of like I'm so excited and thank you for telling me. But it never came as like a surprise. So um that's very interesting.
Now there were a couple people that kind of had figured it out before that I came out to them.
Yeah.
But until I hit that point where I was sneaking around seeing guys in the DL, they never would have thought.
Yeah. You had said that you were promiscuous and one nighty with women. Did you find that year as the same kind of environment? It's just sort of like as limited interaction as possible so as to keep this thing not messy.
I suppose that was part of it. I always knew I wasn't really interested, and it really was kind of the situation when I ended up with my ex-wife that I didn't expect to end up with her. I
Yeah.
situation just put me where we got along, we were having fun, and I didn't expect to stay.
But
And
you
after I spent that few months, with her, I was still trying to do what I thought was the right thing, I think, when I made
and
that choice.
who did you feel you owed it to at that moment? Her? Society?
I guess God. I don't
Okay.
know.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if I felt like I owed it to somebody, or at least I don't think it was something I consciously
Okay.
thought about.
Just because it came up, Now that you're, what are we saying? 4 years, 3 years into, and you've called yourself a gaby, and I want to talk about that. That's been a pin that I've been wanting to talk about since you said it. But what do you feel now with all these 3 years of openness and coming out and all the acceptance? What is your relationship with God now, personally?
Oh wow. So I really don't know. I think I'm more swayed towards the belief in. I don't even know. Honestly, I haven't quite reconciled any of it.
Sure.
Um,
I mean,
I
you had
I
a
do
more
know that I don't feel. I felt a lot of guilt and a lot of shame, and before accepting myself. But since that time, I don't feel like I do anything wrong. Like it doesn't.
Of course, no, of course not.
I don't feel like yeah. So I haven't really decided if I believe in God or not, or if I believe more in just the energy of the universe.
Sure. Well, because you were raised to have a very specific viewpoint of what it is to believe in God and what he might expect of you, right?
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so for people that weren't raised that way, it's different, and we don't maybe feel um like a nostalgia or a an expectation from our relationship with God. But that's why I asked, because you did. It was a big part of your life and a big part of your father's life, and so I always wonder how that comes. And so right now you've got God on hold.
Yeah, I guess so. I haven't really had a lot of people ask about religion for a long
Yeah,
time,
and I
but
didn't expect to ask, but
with you asking, I guess I don't really know. I don't think I have a religion at this point.
yeah, and that's the thing. I think it's hard to join a gang, a religion gang, with because it's like, well, can I read the? It's like, can I read the what's the mitigating circuit? Like, what's the fine print? Like, I want to read the fine print on your
Yeah.
religion before I join this thing. Like, what do you like? What are your extra beliefs? Because maybe they're not, so that's hard. It is hard to join a gang, but your relationship with God as a person. Doesn't necessarily relate to the building or the gang. Um, but I think a lot of us have that question. I think a lot of us don't know where we stand with God and our beliefs. Um, because again, it is a gray time of like misunderstanding everything, and we're all arguing. Everybody, that's the main thing. That's the main like background of the life that we lead right now. And I'm an '80s baby like you, and it's like just everybody's. This is the. I don't know if I was like blind to it for a long time, but it feels like everybody's arguing in a way that I don't have never experienced in my life. I don't remember being in my
Yeah.
20s and there were people who were arguing this much.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. Um, Strange.
So to be a gay bee, this is a new gay. This is your term. I don't want to. I don't want to sound close-minded by using that term, or like labeled. But you said you're a gay bee. What does that mean? And then I guess how long do you have to be? How do I say it? How long do you have to identify as gay before you're no longer a gay bee? Like, like they say when you're a New Yorker, like if you've lived here for 5 years, like you're good, you're a New Yorker. Like, how long do you have to be gay for you
I
to be a gay
think
bee?
that time period depends a little bit on exposure. At
Yes.
this point, I've had a pretty extreme amount
Yeah.
of exposure, so that may not be entirely even accurate at this point. But you know, it's it's an entirely different lifestyle. It's an entirely different life. And there's just so many little things about being gay that being raised as a straight person and living that other life, like, just have no idea.
And you have some catching up to do. Do you feel like
Like,
that? Do you feel like you have some
what
catching
is
up to
a
do?
birthday party, or even just things like what's a twink, what's
Yeah.
like what's a bear? What does this mean?
Yeah.
What does this emoji mean? Like, there's a
Right.
lot, there's crazy stuff. So, and it's also exploring my own sexuality. I say gaby as in just like from the moment I've like accepted myself and started this journey, like figuring out what I like and who I am just as a gay person is still kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So pop play, like discovering that and starting to explore that, like that's kind of part of it. Again, that's pretty new.
Yeah.
So
And so it's not,
for
it's
me,
not.
also, like when I came in, I was pretty specific about who I wanted to work with. I was only a top. Um, and then eventually I started taking scenes as a bottom, really just for the work. But the more that I was doing it, the more it seemed to be like my fans liked it. So I started doing more, but I was not at all a bottom. I didn't think. And then some switch just kind of flipped sometime last year, and I've become a pretty big bottom. So, that's again part of figuring out like my sexuality and what I like and what I'm into and like who I really am.
Yeah.
So I don't know what else I might find out that I like next,
Yeah.
or
Okay. So then let me ask you this: do you find then that being in porn allows you to explore more of your sexuality than you think you'd be able to if you weren't in the industry?
well, I would say yes because it has exposed me to people and places and cause relationships where I've been able to explore that more. But I wouldn't really say it was because of like the actual porn work, like studio work that I was doing.
Well, so then yeah. So then I guess the question is like,
So
and
getting
and
into
it,
porn and then getting into like private stuff made me start filming with more people and meeting more people more in my private life.
yeah.
And that led more to that.
Do you still identify as promiscuous?
Yeah. I mean, by the definition, I would say yes.
I'm not worried about the definition. I'm worried
I
about
would
your definition. Yeah.
prefer just like the term like slut or whore, or I like to own those kind of.
I want you to. I
Yeah, no,
absolutely want you to.
definitely. I couldn't tell you how many people I have sex with in any given week or month.
And who would want to count?
Yeah.
and, but no, but I noticed that you only really use the word promiscuous as it pertained to the straight promiscuity. So I wanted to see.
Well, because it has a negative connotation in that world, but I
Yeah.
don't think there's really a negative connotation in the way that I've chosen to live my life here. At
Right.
least not for most. Not
Well,
everyone's accepting, but
here's why, and it's partly because removing women, then like the stigma of having a lot of sex immediately goes away. Like
yeah,
we want all of our dudes to fuck all of the things. Like we really do. And so when it's two dudes, we're like, yes, have at it. I
yeah.
don't know. It's like, as soon as you remove then the stigma goes, it's great.
Well, I also kind of learned like I identify as polyamorous.
Yeah,
I'm capable of having a lot of different relationships kind of at the same time.
sure.
And not interested in a monogamous relationship, and that kind of took some time to figure out.
Let me ask
And
you,
that,
let me ask you this deeper because this is now a thing that as a the arbiter of this podcast I have to answer to a lot is like people asking me questions about poly and trying to get me to explain it to them so that they can understand what's the difference between you being poly and you just being single, right? Like if I'm just a single guy and I'm dating like 7 women and we're all just at the beginning stages of pre-monogamy, if that's the end goal, um, does that make me poly? Why? When does the line cross that it's poly versus just being single and unattached, unpartnered?
well, I guess that would be between you and whoever you actually would
And
identify as a partner.
for you,
Um, at this point, that's a tough question.
are you multi-partnered? Is that fair to say?
I feel more like I'm not with a partner at this moment. At this
Yeah.
moment, I would say that I'm single. Um, but I'm developing several relationships at the same time.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's
And I think the difference for me is any one of these boys, like if they, if we kind of change to where they identified as my boyfriend and I'm their boyfriend, the ability to date other people randomly or fuck other people doesn't go away. That doesn't change.
Would you be monogamous?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. Okay, so that's a good.
I really don't think I could. I think that's just setting me up for failure. I know that's not the kind of relationship I want.
Okay. So
And I
that's
finally have got to a point where I understand that, like, after I've connected with somebody a little bit, if I'm interested in going any farther, like, we're having that talk about
yeah.
what a relationship would look like, what kinds of things I want. And that way, we both know up front.
And that's really important.
Gonna work or if it's not gonna work, but we're not wasting anybody's time. And if we end up just being fuck buddies, and that's a thing, that's fine.
Yeah.
Or just, if they're looking for something different, then they can be free to keep looking for what they want.
Do you find that have you ever come to an agreement of like, have you ever said to somebody, "Hey, we're fuck buddies"?
Absolutely.
Okay. Because I feel like
I have some fuck buddies, and there's a guy that I'm dating right now that I'm extremely into. And same, but both of us have really busy lives. I'm in Nashville and back and forth to Nashville and LA a lot, so I'm all over the place. And he's kind of the same. So whenever it lines up that we get together, it's like we pick up right where we left off. No time has passed, and it's amazing. But all that time in between, like, he still goes on dates and he still goes to sex parties, and
is
I
it
still
is
do
it
my own
is
thing.
it don't ask, don't tell, or is it tell me
Oh
everything?
no, 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 no. Not with him. And both of us, we talked about this right away on one of the first dates that we actually went on together. We both want more time with each other than we get, but that's just the circumstance we're in. But as far
Yeah.
as the way our relationship works, is exactly what we both want. And when I, like, do something crazy or have a sexual experience with somebody or whatever, like, he's the first person that I want to talk to about it.
That's
Or,
fantastic.
like, when I got back to town, we hung out the other night. The first thing that he told me about when we got in the car was the sex party he went to a couple nights before, and I wanted to hear about, him getting fucked by all these guys.
Yeah.
So it's called compersion. It's kind of the opposite of jealousy. We are turned on by hearing about the other person's, like, experiences and stories. We're not jealous of them.
Say that word again.
Compersion.
Explain that to me more.
It's like I said, it's the opposite of jealousy. So for me, even if we're together, we've been out together, and I may look across, like, we've gone to, like, a naked pool party, and there's guys fucking all over the place, and, like, we're there together, and, like, we're very into each other. But, like, for me to, like, look up as I'm getting fucked by somebody and see him, like, across the bed getting railed by somebody else, like, I don't know, it's just a huge turn on. Or
Yeah.
just to, like, yeah, I don't know. I get off by seeing him turned on and playing, and it doesn't have to be me, the one that he's playing with. And he's same thing. Like, he loves hearing about my sexual um, experiences and adventures
How
when we're not together, and when we get to do those things together, it's, like, even better.
how do you confidently like not become like possessive? I think this is a lot of people's like thing is like they want to hold on so tight because they're afraid they're going to lose. But then someone like you know he's coming back because of what you have and what you've built and what your value is, right? So how do you explain to somebody how to get to where you are and how to not be worried about things like that and how to not be possessive?
Well, this kind of comes back to the whole religion thing in a way. But for me, like, I do believe in fate. I kind of believe in destiny. So I've kind of, and I've had some relationships um, that ended that were, tragic and painful. Um, but I've come to realize that, like, if it's gonna work out, it's gonna work out, and I've kind of removed expectation and any kind of pressure from my relationships. And for me, it's just all about leading with honesty. I feel like I'm getting to a place where I understand so much better who I really am and what I really want, and it's so being honest about that right up front. That way, if you're, because if we had talked about that, and he said, well, I'm really looking for a monogamous relationship, and I need somebody that's going to be here. You know, we would have known right then this isn't, that's not going to work out for us.
But so many people have trouble like cutting ties and like admitting to themselves that like a situation, because we're all lonely, right? So it's like you walk into a red flag and then you're like, well, I'm already here, I may as well stay in here. What gives you the strength or power to be like, um no offense, but obviously this isn't working and let's go our separate ways?
I guess for me, it's just having enough failed relationships, trial and error. But another big thing about it is I talked about my daddies, my handlers. I talked about them being mentors. And one of the biggest things that attracted me to them right away was their marriage and their relationship because they have mastered this. They have the most open and sexual relationship I've ever seen. They have sex with everybody all the time, together, separate, all around, and they love telling each other about it. And um, one is Ryan is a relational sex therapist.
Wow.
So he also has a lot of, professional training and insight into how these things work. So that's been a big part of them being a mentor is me, and they've known me through the end of a really tumultuous relationship that got really toxic and was also extremely hard to break the bond. So having them around and having their insight and their experience and also their relationship as a model has been part of that relationship, part of that mentoring, and part of me kind of being a Gaby and growing into more of my, true, authentic self.
Yeah. I think we all need that.
Yeah,
I think we all
absolutely.
need sexual mentors. That sounds fantastic.
And for them, they're a little older. They didn't have that.
Yeah.
We lost an entire generation to the AIDS epidemic here, more or less. And so, that older generation that would have been their daddies, that wasn't a thing for them. They didn't have those people. They didn't. Most of them didn't survive.
And then for thousands of years before that, it was like deep, violent, painful closetness.
Yeah.
So um how is your relationship with your daughter?
It's good. We don't see each other nearly as much anymore, but that more has to do with her being a 17-year-old girl and having a car and just,
Nobody
living.
17 wants to talk to
But
any of their parents.
yeah, but I'm still daddy. And yeah, I still take care of her.
Do you think that you will ever um try and broach and repair the relationship with your father?
Um, Probably at some point, I think so. I'm so convinced of his dogma and how he feels about it that I don't see a lot of positive coming from it. And because I have these two kids that's their grandpa and they have a good relationship with their grandparents and I haven't wanted to rock that boat. I'd rather just let it be, um, so that the kids can have that relationship because it really feels like, my choice will be something that completely severs the relationship for
Trickles
them.
down. I'm sorry that that's
And it may
how it
not be.
feels.
I mean, I definitely open to the possibility I could be wrong about that, but I know my dad well. I know his beliefs well, his doctrine well, and I
Yeah.
can't imagine that it would change.
And he's still active in the I guess religion community, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, he's still the head pastor of a church. Preaches every Sunday, pretty much.
We're going on to an hour here. I really enjoy talking to you. I appreciate everything you've shared with me. I wanted to ask. This is a thing I've been wanting to make a segment for a long time, and I keep forgetting. I always forget because I get caught up in the discussions. Are there people that you would recommend that I talk to? Who else should I interview?
Oh man, I can't think of anyone off the top of my head. Um, but I will say, I mean, I've met so many incredibly interesting people.
And then would your mentor?
I could probably throw out any given name,
Yeah.
and you would you would be able to find some interesting things out.
Yeah, for sure. And how about your mentor? Would your mentor be interested in talking to me?
Ryan would absolutely be interested. His porn name is Ryan Carter, and he actually writes a blog for CyberSocket, and he has some amazing insights into relationships in general, balancing being open and being married and being a porn star.
Yeah.
And he and his husband began their porn thing just kind of as a side gig together for fun, and it kind of took off for them and turned into something bigger. But they have figured out kind of how to navigate all that, and they've been an inspiration. So
Yeah.
I know he would love to talk to you, and he's great.
Good. I absolutely want to do that. Let's talk about real quick before we break. Let's talk about where you're selling content, how we can get your content, what's going on. Are you are you building one specific thing? Are you building an OnlyFans beyond a thing? Are you at like a steady mark? Where are you at with this whole porn and selling porn?
So I'm working on launching a couple of websites, hopefully this year. But at the moment, I'm posting content on OnlyFans and Just for Fans.
And what can we expect? This is the thing. I think people who haven't yet bought into OnlyFans, sometimes we might not know what we're getting for our $20. What are you posting on OnlyFans? Are you posting boy content? Are you posting solo stuff? What goes on there?
So I post mostly gay content, occasionally solo videos. But most of the stuff that I'm posting is more high quality than a lot of the typical OnlyFans.
Great.
Because I direct and produce for the studios, I have access to a lot better production equipment.
Will you put?
I'm making videos with guys. I may have them in town for a week to film a few studio scenes, and then we may also be filming OnlyFans. So usually the equipment's set up and ready to go, and it's just easy. So,
will you?
Yeah, I post full-length video, at least one video every week. With a lot of big names. There's over 100 videos posted on OnlyFans at least.
Well, let's pump it. It's onlyfans.com/
Jax Thirio. JAXTHIRIO.
Get on there. Get on paying for content. We're finally at a very clear period of time with adult content where we all understand that if you haven't paid for your materials, that the person that you love isn't getting the money. If you love a performer, let's keep them in the business. Please pay for your porn. How else do we follow you? Where else do you want us to follow you?
So I'm on Twitter and Instagram, both at Jax Thirio. And top fan model. I have so many that are like up and running, but I haven't. I don't know which one's to plug, but Twitter is a big one, and OnlyFans is a big one for now.
I guess the big question is where if I spend money, do you get the most of it?
OnlyFans right now.
Okay,
definitely.
Great. So please follow this gentleman. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to chat with me. I really enjoyed this chat. You're a delightful person, and I wish we could do 9 hours, but I don't think anybody would last 9 hours listening as much as we want to talk.
We could probably do 9 hours and edit it down into an hour, but that's a long interview.
That takes much more. But there's so many more things that I want that I think are valuable and things that you say, and I would never want to edit you down. So thank you for the time. Thank you for the energy and the vibe. Please, if you can, introduce me to your mentor, so we can go from there, Ryan. But you are delightful. Thank you for doing this. For the fans, we got YouTube content from today. We also are on all of the places where podcasts are. If you're Android, we're there, and we're also on the other one for iPhones. Wherever there are podcasts, we are there. We drop a new episode every Sunday. Personally, I'm going to apologize for the lack of content for the last 8 months. I've had some scares and things and some emotional things, and so I didn't put content up, but I'm not going to do that anymore. So we have new content every week. And thank you so much for listening and watching. And one more time, thank you to my guests. You are a fantastic person, and I really like talking to you. And hopefully we can continue this conversation in the future. I have so many more things to ask you.
Yeah, no, I'd love that. This was great, man. So thanks for having me on. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you.